The Dream of Destiny. Long ago, in the ancient lands of Canaan, under the golden light of dawn, lived a young boy whose name would echo through time. Yusuf, the son of Prophet Jacob. He was pure at heart, gentle in manner, and blessed with an extraordinary beauty that radiated innocence and peace. But even more captivating than his looks was the light of faith that glowed within his soul. One night, as the stars shimmered quietly above, Yusuf saw a dream one that would change his entire destiny. He woke up with wide eyes and a heart full of wonder. Rushing to his father, he said, "Oh, my father, indeed, I saw in a dream 11 stars. The sun and the moon, I saw them prostrating to me." Prophet Jacob listened with a calm yet knowing smile. He understood that this dream was not ordinary. It was a divine sign, a prophecy of Yusuf's future greatness. But he also knew that such dreams could spark jealousy. He gently advised, "My dear son, do not tell your dream to your brothers, for they may plot against you. Indeed, Satan is a clear enemy to mankind." You see, Yusuf had 11 brothers, but most of them carried envy in their hearts. Their father's love for Yusuf and his younger brother, Benjamin, made them restless. Jealousy, one of the oldest poisons of the human heart, slowly began to burn inside them, clouding their judgment and turning love into bitterness. While Yusuf remained unaware of their inner hatred, his brothers started whispering among themselves, "Surely Yusuf and his brother are dearer to our father than we are." Their envy grew until it transformed into a dark plan, one that would tear the family apart and test Yusuf's faith, patience, and strength. But destiny had already been written by Allah. What looked like betrayal was actually the first step toward greatness. Yusuf's story wasn't just about beauty, it was about sabr, patience through the storm, and faith when the world turns against you. This was only the beginning of a journey that would take a boy from the warmth of his father's embrace to the depths of a dark well, and then, by Allah's will, to the throne of Egypt. The brothers' betrayal, the whispers of jealousy, had now turned into a dangerous flame burning in the hearts of Yusuf's brothers. They could no longer bear the sight of their father's affection for the young, innocent boy whose face shone with purity. Their envy blinded them from seeing what their father saw, divine light of prophecy in Yusuf. One of them said coldly, "Kill Yusuf or cast him away to a far land, so our father's attention will be only for us." The others hesitated. Among them was one with a slightly softer heart who said, "Do not kill him, but throw him into the bottom of a well. Some travelers might pick him up." It was a wicked plan, but wrapped in deceitful mercy. The next morning, the brothers approached their father with false smiles and soft voices. "Oh, our father," they pleaded, "why don't you trust us with Yusuf? Send him with us tomorrow to play and enjoy himself. We will surely take care of him." Prophet Jacob felt unease in his heart. His fatherly instinct warned him, yet the insistence of his sons wore him down. With a heavy sigh, he let Yusuf go, saying, "I fear that a wolf may eat him while you are unaware." The brothers assured him, but deep inside, they had already decided his fate. When they reached a lonely place far from home, their true faces appeared. The laughter turned into cruelty. Yusuf's eyes filled with tears as they seized him. He begged them to stop, but their hearts were stone. They tore his shirt, dragged him to a dark, empty well, and threw him inside. His cries echoed in the hollow darkness as Yusuf clung to the cold stones, trembling and alone. He whispered prayers to Allah, and even in that terrifying moment, peace settled in his heart, for he knew that Allah never abandons the innocent. The brothers dipped Yusuf's shirt in false blood and returned home weeping, pretending grief. "O father," they cried, "a wolf has eaten Yusuf." Prophet Yaqub saw the lie in their eyes, yet his heart submitted to Allah's decree. With tears streaming down his face, he said, "So patience is most fitting. Allah is the one whose help I seek." The boy in the well. The night was silent, and the stars hung over the desert like watchful eyes. Deep beneath the earth, in the cold darkness of a lonely well, sat a young boy Yusuf. His tiny hands clung to the rough stones, his body trembling and his heart heavy with pain. The water below was cold, the air was damp, and fear whispered all around him. But even in that frightening place, he did not lose hope. He lifted his gaze upward toward the small circle of light far above and whispered softly, "My Lord is with me." While his brothers returned home with lies on their tongues, Yusuf stayed in the company of angels. Allah never leaves his chosen servants alone. In the quiet of the well, Yusuf found comfort in remembrance. He didn't curse his fate, nor did he question Allah's wisdom. He simply waited, patient and trusting. Days passed, hunger clawed at his stomach, thirst burned his throat, yet his heart remained strong. And then, one day, destiny arrived disguised as a caravan of travelers heading toward Egypt. They stopped near the well, seeking water. When one of them lowered his bucket, he felt an unexpected weight. Pulling it up, he gasped in shock. There was a young boy clinging to it. The men looked at Yusuf, astonished by his beauty and grace. "What a lucky find," one of them said. They had no idea this boy was no ordinary child, but a future prophet. Thinking he was a slave abandoned by his masters, they hid his identity and decided to sell him for money. Far away, Prophet Yaqub wept every night, calling his son's name. His tears soaked his beard, but his faith never broke. He knew deep down that Allah's promise is always true, even when the world seems cruel. As the caravan moved toward Egypt, Yusuf looked back one last time at the deserted place of betrayal, but also the beginning of his divine journey. He didn't know what awaited him in the land of pharaohs, but his heart whispered the same truth again. "My Lord is with me, and he will guide me." Sold as a slave, the caravan carrying young Yusuf moved across the endless sands of the desert, heading toward Egypt, a land of kings, palaces, and endless trade. But among the merchants, Yusuf was not seen as a future leader or a prophet. He was just another item to be sold, a boy with a face so beautiful that even under the dust of the road, his light could not be hidden. When they arrived at the busy slave market of Egypt, people gathered in crowds. Whispers spread like wind. A boy of extraordinary beauty has been found. The merchants, greedy for profit, displayed Yusuf before buyers like a priceless jewel. His eyes reflected innocence. His silence spoke strength, and even in humiliation, he carried dignity that no chain could break. Among those who came to the market was Al-Aziz, a noble Egyptian and one of the high officials of the king. The moment he saw Yusuf, he sensed something different, a divine aura that words couldn't describe. Turning to his wife, Zuleika, he said, "Take good care of him. Perhaps he may benefit us, or we may adopt him as a son." And just like that, Yusuf entered a new world, the palace of power and luxury. Though he was now a servant, his manners, calmness, and grace made him stand out. He obeyed with respect, worked with sincerity, and carried a heart full of gratitude to Allah, never letting bitterness take root. But deep inside, Yusuf missed his father. He remembered Yaqub's loving face, his protective arms, and the warmth of home. Yet, even in this strange land, he found peace in one thing: his connection with Allah. For Yusuf knew that everything happens by divine design. Back in Canaan, Prophet Yaqub still mourned. Every night, his prayers rose to the heavens as tears soaked his cheeks. He never doubted Allah's mercy, whispering again and again, "Indeed, patience is beautiful." Meanwhile, Yusuf was growing not just in age, but in wisdom, faith, and grace. His trials were shaping him for something far greater than he could ever imagine, a destiny that would unfold in the very heart of Egypt itself, the palace of temptation. Years passed, and Yusuf grew into a man of striking beauty and noble character. His presence in the palace was like a breath of peace. Everyone admired him not just for his face, but for his humility, honesty, and the calm strength that radiated from his eyes. Wherever he went, hearts turned toward him, yet he remained untouched by pride. His heart belonged only to Allah. Among those who noticed him most was Zuleika, the wife of Olaziz. She had once seen Yusuf as a simple servant, but as time passed, her admiration turned into obsession. His beauty was unlike anything human eyes had seen, pure, radiant, and filled with divine light. Her heart burned with desire, and temptation began to cloud her soul. One day, when the palace halls were silent and the servants were gone, Zuleika adorned herself in the finest silk and perfume. She invited Yusuf into her chamber, where the doors were locked one by one. With a voice trembling between passion and sin, she said, "Come to me." Yusuf froze. The air felt heavy. His heart raced, but not from desire, from fear of Allah. He replied firmly, "I seek refuge in Allah. Truly, your husband is my master who treated me kindly. Surely, the wrongdoers never prosper." Zuleika moved closer, but Yusuf turned away and ran toward the door. She chased him, grabbing his shirt from behind, and it tore. Just then, the door burst open. Olaziz stood there, shocked. Before he could speak, Zuleika, in panic, tried to twist the truth. "What should be the punishment?" she cried. "For the one who intended evil against your wife?" But Allah's justice never hides. A witness from her own household spoke. "If his shirt is torn from the front, she speaks the truth. But if it's torn from the back, then she lies." When Olaziz saw the shirt torn from behind, the truth was clear. Shame filled the room. Zuleika was exposed, yet Yusuf remained dignified. Even when wronged, he held his silence, leaving judgment to Allah. His beauty had become a test, but his sabr, patience, and taqwa, piety, made him shine brighter than ever. Whispers and prison. After the incident in the palace, whispers began to spread through the city of Egypt. The women of high society gossiped endlessly about Zuleika. "Have you heard?" They laughed. "The wife of Olaziz has fallen in love with her servant." Their words cut like knives, and pride burned within Zuleika. She could not bear to be mocked. Determined to prove herself, she invited the women to a grand banquet. Servants lined the hall, music filled the air, and fine fruit was placed before her guests. When they were seated, Zuleika handed each woman a knife and a piece of fruit. Then she called for Yusuf to enter. The moment he stepped into the room, light seemed to follow him. His face glowed with divine beauty, so pure, so serene, that time itself appeared to stop. The women stared in awe, their hearts trembling. Without realizing it, they cut their hands instead of the fruit. Blood fell silently, but they felt no pain. They gasped, "This is not a man. This is but a noble angel." Zuleika's eyes gleamed with triumph. "See," she said proudly, "this is the one for whom you blame me." Then she turned to Yusuf, her voice dark with desire. "If he will not do what I command, he shall be imprisoned and humiliated." But Yusuf's heart was stronger than temptation. He raised his hands and prayed, "My lord, prison is dearer to me than what they invite me to. If you do not turn their plots away from me, I may fall into ignorance." And Allah heard his prayer. Soon after, despite his innocence, Yusuf was taken to prison. The iron gates closed behind him with a loud clang, but his soul remained free. The world might have stripped him of luxury, but not of dignity. In the darkness of the cell, he found peace again in worship. Even behind bars, Yusuf's character shone. The prisoners felt comfort in his presence, sensing something divine in his calm voice. Little did they know that this prison, this place of despair, was about to become the turning point of Yusuf's destiny. Dreams behind bars. The prison walls were thick and cold, yet inside them lived a light that could not be dimmed. Yusuf, though bound by chains, carried the freedom of faith in his heart. His calmness, his wisdom, and his quiet smile brought comfort to those around him. Even in captivity, he became a source of hope. Days turned into weeks, and soon, two young men were placed in the same cell with him. Both had once served in the royal palace, one as the king's cupbearer, the other as his baker. Troubled and restless, they found themselves drawn to Yusuf's serenity. One night, both saw strange dreams that left them deeply unsettled. In the morning, they approached Yusuf and said, "We see that you are a righteous man. Please tell us the meaning of our dreams." The first man said, "I saw myself squeezing grapes into wine for the king." The second said, "I saw myself carrying bread on my head, and birds were eating from it." Before interpreting, Yusuf gently reminded them, "No food will come to you except that I will tell you its interpretation before it arrives. This is from what my Lord has taught me. Indeed, I have left the ways of those who do not believe in Allah." His words carried peace, and his faith touched their hearts. Then he explained, "O my fellow prisoners, one of you will serve wine to his master again. As for the other, he will be crucified, and birds will eat from his head. The matter about which you inquire has been decreed." The prophecy was unsettling yet clear. Yusuf then turned to the one who would be freed and said softly, "Mention me to your master." He hoped that through this man, Allah would create a way for his release. But when the man regained his freedom, he forgot about Yusuf completely. Time passed, and Yusuf remained in prison, not with bitterness, but with patience. He prayed, he taught, he inspired, and he waited for Allah's plan to unfold. He didn't know that beyond those walls, destiny was already moving, preparing a dream that only he could interpret, a dream that would open the gates of his freedom. The king's dream for 100 words. Years passed, and Yusuf remained patient in the prison, his heart never wavering from faith. Then, one day, news reached the prison that would change the course of his life forever. The king of Egypt had a troubling dream, and none of his wise men or advisors could interpret it. The king dreamt of 7 fat cows being devoured by 7 lean ones and 7 green ears of grain swallowed by 7 dry ones. Deeply disturbed, He summoned magicians, scholars, and scribes, but none could provide a clear answer. Anxiety spread throughout the palace. The king's dreams were not mere visions, they were messages from Allah, carrying a warning and guidance. Meanwhile, the former cupbearer, now back in the royal court, remembered. Yusuf, he told the king, there is a man in prison who can interpret dreams with truth. He is a servant of Allah and has been known to reveal the meanings of dreams. Yusuf was brought from the prison before the king. Even in chains, his presence commanded respect. His face glowed with serenity, and his eyes held a calm strength that immediately caught the attention of all in the room. The king recounted his dream. Yusuf listened silently, then spoke with confidence and humility. It is Allah who shows truth through dreams. The 7 fat cows and 7 green ears represent 7 years of abundant harvest. The 7 lean cows and dry ears represent 7 years of famine. Prepare wisely. Store grain during the good years, so that you may survive the years of scarcity. The king was astonished not just by the clarity of the interpretation, but by the wisdom, dignity, and spiritual light that Yusuf carried. He realized that Yusuf was no ordinary man. He was guided by Allah, chosen to save Egypt from calamity. Impressed beyond measure, the king said, "You shall be in charge of our lands, entrusted with our stores of grain. Your wisdom will guide us through these difficult times." Yusuf had arrived at a turning point from the darkness of prison to the highest office in Egypt. But even in his rise, his heart remained humble, for he knew that all power, all success, and all honor came from Allah alone. Power and forgiveness. The prison gates that once closed behind Yusuf were now a memory, replaced by the golden halls of Egypt's palace. From a slave to a ruler, his journey was nothing short of divine destiny. The king honored him with trust and authority, placing him in charge of all Egypt's resources. Yusuf organized the kingdom with wisdom. He oversaw the storing of grain, balanced trade, and prepared the nation for the coming famine. His leadership was marked by justice, mercy, and unshakable faith. Then, as Allah had revealed through the king's dream, the years of abundance ended. The skies grew dry, and the earth cracked beneath the burning sun. Crops failed, and famine spread across neighboring lands, including Canaan, the home of Yusuf's family. Prophet Yaqub, now old and weary, sent his sons to Egypt to buy grain. They entered the grand court of the ruler unaware that the man seated before them in fine garments was their own brother, Yusuf. Years had passed, and they could not recognize him. But Yusuf knew them instantly. The memories of betrayal flashed in his mind, yet his heart remained calm. He treated them kindly, provided them with food, and asked gently, "Bring me your youngest brother next time." He was speaking of Benjamin, his full brother, the only one he truly missed. When they returned with Benjamin, Yusuf welcomed him privately, revealing his identity. He embraced his brother tightly, whispering, "I am your brother, so do not grieve over what they did." Then came the moment of truth. When the famine worsened, all of Yusuf's brothers stood before him once more, desperate for help. Yusuf looked at them not with anger, but with compassion. Tears welled in his eyes as he said, "Do you know what you did to Yusuf and his brother when you were ignorant?" Their faces turned pale. "Are you truly Yusuf?" They gasped. He smiled softly and replied, "I am Yusuf, and this is my brother. Allah has indeed been gracious to us. Whoever fears Allah and is patient. Indeed, Allah does not allow the reward of the righteous to be lost." The brothers fell in shame, but Yusuf lifted them up. "No blame upon you today," he said gently. "May Allah forgive you." The reunion of hearts. Tears streamed down Yusuf's face as he embraced his brothers. Those who once threw him into a dark well now stood before him seeking mercy. Yet instead of revenge, he offered forgiveness. His heart had been purified by years of trials, and his soul was filled with gratitude to Allah. What once began with betrayal now ended with compassion. Yusuf sent his brothers back to Canaan with gifts and supplies. He gave them his shirt, saying, "Take this shirt of mine and cast it over my father's face. He will regain his sight. Then bring all your family to me." The brothers rushed home with trembling hearts. In distant Canaan, Prophet Yaqub sat weak and blind. His eyes whitened from years of weeping. Yet even in sorrow, he never lost faith. As the caravan approached, he suddenly lifted his head and said, "Indeed, I can sense the fragrance of Yusuf, though you may think me mistaken." When they arrived, the brothers gently placed Yusuf's shirt over their father's face, and instantly, by Allah's command, Yaqub's sight returned. Overwhelmed with joy, he raised his hands to the sky, whispering, "All praise is due to Allah, who has reunited us after all this time." The entire family then traveled to Egypt. When they entered Yusuf's court, he rose from his throne and ran to his father. The two embraced for the first time in decades, father and son. Hearts once torn apart, now whole again. Their tears fell not in sorrow, but in gratitude. Yusuf then raised his parents upon the throne beside him. His brothers bowed before him not in worship, but in honor, just as his childhood dream had foretold. Yusuf looked toward the heavens and said with deep humility, "My Lord, you have given me power and taught me the interpretation of dreams. Creator of the heavens and the earth, you are my protector in this world and the hereafter. Let me die as one who submits to you and join me with the righteous." Thus ended the story of Prophet Yusuf, a tale of beauty and patience, of betrayal and forgiveness, of a heart that never broke even when the world turned against it. His life remains a timeless reminder that with faith and patience, every hardship becomes a path to greatness.